Colne Valley Path is a 23-mile long-distance trail beginning in the Essex village of Great Yeldham and ending at the ancient Roman city of Colchester. Day 1 is 9 miles and heads out of the village, crossing open fields and countryside to the neighbouring village of Castle Hedingham, with its medieval timber-framed houses and fantastically preserved Norman castle. Continuing through more open countryside, the path encounters numerous hints of the old railway line that once passed along the valley floor. The path crosses through the Dean's Hall and Hepworth Hall estates before eventually arriving at the Essex town of Halstead. The Colne Valley Path begins here at the Great Oak in Great Yeldham, believed to be over 300 years old before being entombed in a case of stone. The path's meandering 23-mile route along the Colne Valley takes in numerous highlights, including Castle Hedingham and Chappel Viaduct, and ends at the ancient Roman capital of Colchester. Although the route can be walked in one long day, or even 2 shorter ones, I've opted for 3 days walking with varying lengths of 6 to 10 miles. Following the road through the village and away from the Great Oak, the path passes the Three Bottles pub before heading further up the road to a footpath into a small area of woodland. As you reach the other side of the woods, the path enters vast open farmland and gently maintains a height of around 65 metres above sea level. This added height allows for some rather lovely views over the upper reaches of the Colne Valley and is continued all the way to Castle Hedingham. Just before joining Kirby Hall Road near Castle Hedingham, a look to the south will highlight the Colne Valley Heritage Railway. The visitor attraction consists of a mile of track, a fully reconstructed station, signal box and railway yard. The line was originally opened to the public in 1863 and finally ceased operation in 1965 after being used as a freight line for 3 years. Just slightly further ahead is the village of Castle Hedingham, and as you approach you will see the towering Norman keep to the northeast. The keep was constructed around 1140 AD and is arguably one of the best preserved Norman keeps in England. Walls 11 feet thick support the rising tower to a height of 70 feet above the surrounding countryside, and likely replaced an even older castle from the early 11th century. The Colne Valley Path passes right through the village, taking a meandering route through the narrow streets up to the village church, which dates as far back as the late 12th century. After enjoying the medieval treats on show at Castle Hedingham, the path heads out of the village south to bypass Sybil Hedingham and eventually arrives at Alderford Mill. The current mill dates from about 1720 and was used to grind coarse wholemeal flour. Just beyond the mill, the path eventually joins the River Colne, which is followed until you reach Hull's Mill. The mill sits alongside the River Colne and dates to the 18th or 19th century. Historic records show a mill has been located on this site since 1086. Just as you leave the Hepworth Hall estate, the path is briefly interrupted by the A1124, which is crossed on the other side of the River Colne, and the path heads back into the surrounding marshes. The route eventually joins a path which runs parallel to the old railway line, which is followed for some way before skirting around a noisy industrial estate, keeping the River Colne as company. Just a few hundred metres further along, the path arrives at the bustling town centre and high street of Halstead. With shops, cafes and plenty of places to eat, drink and sleep, it's the perfect place to rest and plan the next day's walk ahead.